Hey there fellow Planeswalkers, it's Steve for Brew Preview, and today on Cards for Commander we're going to go over From the Vault Transform. The product just released this last Friday. I've picked up my copy and kind of parsed it out to all my different decks. It's got quite a few really good Commander cards in it, and then there's a few stinkers, and we'll kind of go over those real quick here. As a side note, I did notice my copy having pretty bad miscuts, and then also my first copy actually had a pre-bent Liliana that was pretty bad, like not like your regular card warping. This was actually like bent down the middle. So I don't know, it's just a warning. You know, I've noticed a few people, same thing, they opened up their packages and the cards are pretty miscut, so I don't know if that's something going on in production or whatnot, but when you're buying a premium product like this, you kind of want those cards to be as pristine as can be, but you know, what can we do? Anyway, with that, let's break into our review here. So, first up, we've got, So first up, we've got Huntmaster of the Fells. The new artwork looks amazing. I absolutely adore it. Not to say the old artwork is bad in any way, I just like, you know, a fresh take. I will say I like the human side a little bit more than the werewolf side, but what can you do? You know, it's just what ended up being, I guess. So as far as commander, we've got a 2-colorless red-green human werewolf creature on the front side. Whenever this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into Huntmaster of the Fells, create a 2/2 green wolf token, creature token, and you gain 2 life. So pretty good upside there. Making a body and gaining a little bit of life is good, and then of course it's got the clause at the beginning of each upkeep: if no spells were cast last turn, transform it to Huntmaster of the Fells. So on the other side, we've got a 4/4 with trample. Whenever this creature transforms into Ravager of the Fells, it deals 2 damage to target opponent and 2 damage up to 1 target creature that player controls. Sorry, I got tongue-tied there. At the beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, transform Ravager of the Fells. So, I have played with this card in Commander quite a bit. There's a few decks where it really kind of lends itself. I have kind of like a tiny or a weaning strategy that this card actually works really, really well in, and also I could see it working pretty well in like a token build. So, if you're looking for either one of those, I highly recommend it. Also, of course, if you are planning on building that Werewolf Tribal EDH deck with Helen, or what's his name? I can't remember, the Helen Cord guy. He's pretty cool too. Not the commander we were looking for, but he's the commander we have. So yeah, obviously a great include in that deck. 4/4 trample isn't bad, and a 2/2 human that makes tokens isn't bad either. So overall, I'd say this is a decent card for commander. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. I would definitely run it. Next up, we've got Garak Relentless. So this is a pretty interesting card. It's the actual first flip planeswalker ever. I remember when it first came out, people were just losing their minds. It's just like, what in the heck is going on here? Which totally makes sense. It's bizarre. So on your front side, you've got a 3-colorless, 1-green, legendary planeswalker, of course. 3 loyalty. It's got 2 0 abilities. The first one is Garak Relentless deals 3 damage to target creature. That creature deals damage equal to its power to him. So there's that. And then his other ability says create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. So pretty good as far as giving you a little blocker or attacker or whatever you need. He also says when Garak Relentless has 2 or fewer loyalty counters on him, transform him. So that's where things get a little bit interesting. So then he flips over to Garak the Veil Cursed. Legendary planeswalker, of course. His +1 is create a 1/1 black wolf creature token with death touch. So really good at jump blocking. You know, not a lot of people are going to want to swing into that unless they have flyers or evasion. So that's really good. Then -1, sacrifice a creature. If you do, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. So that's really, really powerful, especially if you've been making a lot of wolves. Then you can just sacrifice one of your tokens, find one of your big baddies, one of your bombs, and then just cast it next turn. So, or that turn, depending on what's going on, I guess. And then we've got -3. Creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. So that's pretty powerful, depending on you know, what type of strategy you're running. So, for example, you put this in like a Marin deck or a Carador deck, and then all of a sudden you're giving all your creatures like +7/+7 and trample, and, you know, somebody's probably dead. So, once again, it really just depends on what you're doing. But I would definitely give this card a as far as like going into Commander. I like playing it a lot. It's been a lot of fun. It's a little bit more casual. It's not super competitive, but I think it'll work for what it does. So next up we've got Delvar of Secrets. This is one of the ones that I don't really care for in Commander. It's more of a 1v1 card in my opinion, and of course it's been played in every format from here to tomorrow, so it's really good, but a little bit strong for our or a little bit small for our format, I should say, not strong. So it's 1 blue for a 1/1 human wizard. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card. If an instant or sorcery card is revealed this way, transform Delvar of Secrets. And then we go over to Insectile Aberration. Human insect 3/2 flying. It's got a bunch of flavor text there, but it doesn't really do anything besides that. So that's kind of the drawback there. 3/2 flyers in Commander for really cheap are great early game, but as the game goes on, they just get outclassed so quick. And this guy just dies to removal, doesn't really do anything. So yeah, once again, not a high recommendation for multiplayer Commander, really high recommendation for 1v1, but that's how that stands. Then I've got Archangel Abbess. So this is probably one of the best candidates in this box for actually being a commander. I know red-white really isn't that popular, but I've actually built like 2 versions of this deck so far. On her front side, she's a 3 colorless, 2 white, legendary creature angel, of course. She's got flash, which is amazing for a commander. You cannot overestimate that power, really. Just being able to flash your commander at any time, you know, even for just chump blocks or basically anything. Flash, Flying Vigilance. When Archangel Abbess enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain indestructible until end turn. There's another super ability, especially with Flash. You know, you can save your entire team just by flashing your commander. Then, when a non-angel creature you control dies, transform Archangel Abbess at the beginning of the next end step. So, on the flip side here, we've got Abbess the Purifier. So, legendary creature angel, of course. 6/5 flying. When this creature transforms into Abbess the Purifier, it deals 3 damage to each other creature and each opponent. So kind of like a mini board wipe. It won't get rid of everything, but it will probably clean up the board pretty good, especially if like somebody plays an Avenger or Zendikar or something like that, and you really just need to get rid of those tokens. Downside is it does deal that damage to your creatures, so you've got to be kind of careful with that. You know, maybe make sure you're trying to activate that ability by sacrificing one of your creatures when you have a pretty good board presence, as far as like, I don't know, maybe like a Cathar's Crusade or something that's buffing all your guys, something like that. 3 damage to each opponent isn't bad either. You know, sometimes that can matter. Well, it always matters, but depending on how far you are in the game, it can really matter. So overall, I really like this card for Commander. I will definitely say it's a great choice as far as like putting it in the command zone. Also, it's not bad in the deck, especially like if you're playing like that red, black, white, the Mardu kind of like attrition deck. You can use this as kind of like a way to, you know, I guess freak your opponents out. You know, just flash it in when somebody goes to kill something, then all of a sudden you're killing a lot of things. Could be really good. So, high recommendation there. Then we've got Argyle's Bloodfast. So this is a 2-cost legendary enchantment, so 1 colorless, 1 black. It's got an activated ability that's 1 colorless, 1 black, pay 2 life, draw a card. So we've got Greed or Erebos, depending on which way you want to look at it. And then it's also got at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 5 or less life, you may transform Argyle's Bloodfast. Okay, turns over to Temple of Aklazats or something. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one, and I'm not really going to try that hard. Then it has tap for black mana, so pretty good. Then it also has tap, sacrifice creature, you gain life equal to sacrifice creature's toughness. So really powerful. I actually really like these permanents that switch over into lands. That's a really cool idea in my opinion, especially with the stuff that they've been printing. Now, as another side note here, could they have put something a little bit more interesting in here for Commander? Yeah, but I'm pretty sure this, you know, product obviously isn't mainly geared towards Commander. You know, maybe some of the choices were made that way, but really, it's not a bad card. You're definitely not buying this one as this is going to bring me the value of the From the Vault, but not bad at all. I would definitely play it in Commander. It's not a bad choice at all, especially, you know, I've been playing Greed and Erebos forever, so being able to draw cards is never really something to underestimate. It can get you out of many problems and really just win you the game, so another good include. And then we've got Arlinn Kord. So this is the second Planeswalker flip card. What can I really say about this one? It's okay. It's not great. It does, you know, some marginally good things for Commander, but for the most part not too great. I can see it in some like really aggressive, you know, Gruul decks where you get that first ability. So it's 2 colors, a red and a green, Planeswalker of course. +1 is until end of turn, up to 1 target creature gets +2/+2 and gains vigilance and haste. So not bad, especially if you're doing that like to Rurik Thar. You know, of course you've just taken 6 damage to play it, but you know, what can you say? Also you've got like good 0 ability, create a 2/2 token. It's okay. The other side is a little bit better. It's got the +1 creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn, so that's a pretty good pump that you can continue doing as long as your Planeswalker's around. -1, Arlen Embraced by the Moon deals 3 damage to target creature or player, transformer back into the other side. Not so great at all. -6 is you get an Elbrus. Creatures you control have haste. This creature, and they can also tap. This creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. So that one's not bad at all. I actually really like the last ability, but getting there is going to be the hard part. Overall, I would say this is, again, an okay card for Commander. You can throw it in like that Werewolves deck, or there's a few other decks that would really enjoy this. Like I keep thinking of Rurik Thar. I think this would be okay in there. I would take 6 damage sometimes to just give Rurik Thar +2/+2 in vigilance and haste, so not bad at all. But yeah, kind of weak, not my favorite. Now we've got one of my favorites, and that's Bloodline Keeper. So this is a 2 colors, 2 black creature vampire flying. It has 2 activated abilities. One is tap, create a 2/2 black vampire creature token with flying, and the key thing here is the 2/2 flying. That's really important. A lot of times at Commander I find that I just die to flyers, so having a flying blocker is really important sometimes. It's also got pay 1 black, transform Bloodline Keeper, activate this ability only if you control 5 or more vampires. On his flip side here, you've got flying, other vampire creatures you control get +2/+2, and then he also still maintains tap, create a 2/2 black vampire creature token with flying, which becomes a 4/4 because of his static ability. So really, really powerful card. It's been one of my favorites forever. My wife absolutely loves this card as well. I think anybody that has a vampire tribal deck will tell you the power of this card. It'll usually win you the game if you keep it alive long enough. As far as outside of like vampire decks, I still think it's great. Creating tokens is never a bad thing, especially for just the cost of tapping this guy. Plus, himself being a 3/3 flyer isn't bad. He's got the evasion, he can swing in if he needs to, and you can really just build your own vampire army, then transform, and then have a bunch of 4/4s that are really, really good. So, really, really cool card. So next we've got Bruna the Fading Light and Gisela the Broken Blade. So this is a 2-part flip combo. Actually, I don't know if you've seen this card yet, but it's pretty wild. So first up we've got Bruna, 5 colorless, 2 white, legendary creature, Angel Horror. She says when you cast Bruna the Fading Light, you may return target angel or human creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's also got flying and vigilance and is a 5/7. On the other side here we've got a Gisela the Broken Blade. She's 2 colorless, 2 white, legendary creature, Angel Horror. Flying, first strike, lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, if you both own and control Gisela the Broken Blade and a creature named Bruna the Fading Light, exile them. Then meld them into Priscilla the Voice of Nightmares. She's also a 4/3, so pretty good stats actually. Then when they flip over, they combine and become Priscilla Voice of Nightmares. So it's a legendary creature, Angel, Eldrazi Angel I should say. She's got flying, first strike, vigilance, lifelink. Your opponents can't cast spells with converted mana cost 3 or less. So this is a pretty crazy card. There are obviously very few cards that flip over as a pair and turn into one giant creature. You can play one of these two as one of your commanders. I've seen a lot of decks, well, not a lot, but I've seen a few decks built around one or the other. I definitely think, we'll just go back here for a second, I definitely think building the deck around Bruna and then having Gisela in the deck is the way to go. Just because if Gisela happens to die, you can just cast Bruna and then flip them both when, you know, Gisela comes back onto the battlefield. As far as being a really good commander choice, yeah, it's okay. I think it's more casual because you're more or less just looking for the crazy things to happen in that game. You know, you're just going for the extra craziness there. As far as like individually, they're okay. I do like Gisela for like 1v1. It's like a really, really good version of, I don't know how many countless angels we have. Flying, first strike, and lifelink is really good. 4/3 flyers for 4 are also really good, so not bad there. And then Bruna, yeah, it's a big big creature for a lot of mana, and it also has a really good relevant effect. So if you're going like tribal angels with like a human splash, I could definitely see this as an include. Not bad at all. As far as the other side, evaluating on that on Commander, which this almost feels like trying to get to like a Planeswalker Ultimate or something like that to me, because you're just jumping through hoops to get to this 9/10. That can be pretty easily handled. I mean, there's a lot of removal that is above converted mana cost 3 or less, so there's a lot of ways to kill this thing. It might get you a little bit of life, it might swing a few times, but for the most part, we have creatures that are already like this that we can just cast without having to transform something, so yeah, it's okay. Next up, we've got Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh. This is probably my least favorite of the cycle of this 5 cycle, I guess I would call it. It's 1 colorless, 2 red, legendary creature, human shaman. Whenever you cast a red spell and tap Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh, she also has tap Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh, deals 1 damage to target player. If Chandra has dealt 3 or more damage this turn, exile her, then return her to the battlefield transformed under her owner's control. It's also a 2/2, not too bad. The other side is where the real disappointment happens for me. Chandra, Roaring Flame, legendary planeswalker, of course. +1 is she deals 2 damage to target player. Meh. -2 is deals 2 damage to target creature. Meh. -7 is Chandra, Roaring Flame deals 6 damage to each opponent. Each player dealt damage this way gets an emblem with at the beginning of your upkeep. The emblem deals 3 damage to you, which is a really good ability, but the first 2 abilities are just so underwhelming. I really don't care for this card in multiplayer Commander, and I've been trying it out in 1v1 and I really don't care for it there. Once again, there's so much other stuff I'd rather be doing than trying to jump through hoops and flip this card over. Next up, we've got Elbrus, the Binding Blade. So this is a pretty interesting card. 7 cost legendary artifact equipment. It's equipped creature gets +1/+0, which is okay. When equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, unattach Elbrus, the Binding Blade, then transform it. Equip cost is 1, so that's pretty good. It's a 13/13 flying, intimidate, trample. Whenever a player loses the game, put 13 +1/+1 counters on Withengar Unbound. So yeah, not too bad, but once again it runs into that whole argument of we already have creatures that are kind of like this that I can just cast, or I can, there's a million other ways to get giant monsters in this game. Do I really want to spend all my time trying to equip this to creature, swing, and have it go through, and then flip this over just to have this thing, Swords to Plowshared or Path to Exiled? Not so much. The other thing that I've kind of noticed with this card as far as wanting to play it is that because it flips over to a black creature, a lot of times I can't really include it in decks that I'd really want to. Like, if you think about it, this would be a kind of cool include in SRAM, but because the other side's black, you can't do it. So there's that. So as far as Commander, I think it's definitely like very casual, which is okay. Once again, if you really are shooting to just flip this thing over, that's great. I know there's a variant out there that people play where you actually use non-creature legendary permanents as your commander, which is kind of fun, and this could be a really fun one to build a mono black deck around, just trying to make this giant monster have a whole bunch of creatures with like shadow or other types of evasion, and just get this guy flipped over and he's your actual, commander that can deal commander damage now. So not too bad that way, but like I said, not a great commander include in my opinion. It's okay, once again. Then we've got Jace Vryn's Prodigy. So it's a 2-cost human wizard, so 1 colorless, 1 blue. It's got tap, draw a card, then discard a card. If there are 5 more cards in your graveyard, exile Jace Vryn's Prodigy, then return to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. Really, really powerful. 0/2. Other side is amazing. Jace Telepath Unbound. +1 is up to 1 target creature gets -2/-0 until your next turn, so really powerful there. -3 is you may cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. If that card would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. So really, really good recursion there as far as spells go. And then -9, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell, target opponent puts the top 5 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. The ultimate, kinda meh, especially in multiplayer Commander. Mill has never really been a big thing, but what you're really after here is the -3. As far as includes in the deck, I love this guy. You throw him in pretty much any blue control deck that's trying to do what blue usually does, and that's cast spells, and he's great. Especially like I really like this card in Tassiger. That's probably one of my favorites, just because you're getting that kind of rummage effect that, or not rummage, I can't remember what it's called. Loot. There we go. You're getting that loot effect that you get with like Merfolk Looter or any of those other cards, but you're also getting the benefit of potentially being able to flip this guy over, then recast some of those spells that that are really valuable in those decks. As far as being the commander, it's okay. There are a lot of other better choices, like Brawl comes to mind right away. Talrun comes right to mind as well. But, I mean, you could definitely try it. I think it could be really good. It could be a lot of fun, especially if you're playing just like mono blue control strategies. It could work. And then we've got Kytheon, Hero of Akros. So this is a 1-white human soldier, legendary creature, of course, 2/1. At the end of combat, if Kytheon, Hero of Akros, and at least 2 other creatures attack this combat, exile Kytheon, then return him to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. He also has an activated ability to pay 2 colorless, 1 white. Kytheon gains indestructible until end of turn. So not bad at all. It's definitely not a good multiplayer commander card, I will say. Even the other side is kind of meh. So Gideon, Battleforged, legendary planeswalker, of course. +2, up to 1 target creature an opponent controls attacks Gideon, Battleforged during its controller's next turn if able. So kind of like the original Gideon. +1 until next turn, target creature gains indestructible until untap that creature, so not bad really. Then 0 ability, until end of turn, Gideon Battleforged becomes a 4/4 human soldier creature with indestructible that's still a planeswalker. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to him this turn. So once again, overall, it's okay, it's decent. It's not going to be great as a commander, it's not going to be really that great in most decks. I can think of a few where it would be okay, but I'm not going to build anything around this guy or really push to get him in anywhere. Where he does shine though is in 1v1. I have this guy in my Thalia deck, my 1v1 Thalia deck, and it actually is pretty amazing, especially when you get to flip over. Because that's the kind of like, I guess, synergy you really want, is where you've got one opponent and you're just using that +2 or just beating down with that 0 ability, or even just using the +1 on Thalia and untapping her, making her indestructible. Really, really powerful there, but overall, multiplayer commander, not so much. And then we've got Liliana, Heretical Healer. So this is 1 colorless, 2 black, legendary creature, human cleric, of course. She's got lifelink, 2/3. She says, whenever another non-token creature you control dies, exile Liliana, Heretical Healer, then return her to the battlefield transformed under under her owner's control. Sorry guys. If you do, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So already pretty powerful, and then you get to the other side, and Liliana, Defiant Necromancer, legendary planeswalker. +2, each player discards a card, really, really strong, especially if you're playing a graveyard strategy yourself. -X, return target non-legendary creature card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield, so that's really powerful. Then -8, you get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, returns to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step, so really, really powerful ultimate. Overall, really, really powerful card. I really like that she flips over and then gives you a blocker for your planeswalker. That is what pushes this card over the edge, in my opinion. As the commander, I would definitely run it. It's got a lot of really good synergy as far as like building decks around it. Graveyard strategies are always a lot of fun. As far as an include in the deck, I absolutely love it as well. I have this in my Marin deck, I have it in my Carador deck, I have it in my Erebos deck. I love this card, and it does a lot. It really does. If you think about it, 1+1 gets you to 5 loyalty, and then you can bring back pretty much anything you want. Another +1 brings you to 7, or not +1, +2 brings you to 7, and you can basically get everything you want. So really, really powerful, especially if you use it as your commander. All of a sudden you're just capitalizing on being able to flip her over. If she dies, you just play her again. Just more and more value on top, stacked on top of itself. So really, really cool card. And we've got another one of my favorites, and that's Nissa, Vastwood Seer. So 2 colorless, 1 green, legendary creature, Elf Scout. When Nissa, Vastwood Seer enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic forest card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So already, already in Commander, when you're finding land and you're not ramping, but you're getting your land drops, that's really, really important. And then states, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands, exile Nissa, then return her to the battlefield transformed under her owner's control. Also a 2/2, so not bad stats for 3. And then on our other side, Nissa Sage Animist, legendary planeswalker, of course. +1, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it on the battlefield, otherwise put it in your hand. So really, really good ability there. -2, create a legendary 4/4 green elemental creature token named Shy. the Awoken world. So once again, just like with Liliana we saw, there's a way to defend her right away. You can flip her over, -2, yeah, she goes down to 1 loyalty, so if there's a Staff of Nin or any kind of effect like that, she's basically toast, but, you know, that's the game we play. And then, you know, she defends herself with that 4/4 pretty well. -7, untap up to 6 target lands, they become 6/6 green elemental creature tokens, or creature tokens. Okay, -7, untap up to 6 target lands, they become 6/6 elemental creatures, they're still lands, so not a bad our ultimate, really. I very rarely use it. I actually have a Nissa Vastwood Seer commander deck that I built, and I love it. I love being able to just, you know, keep 3 land hands and not care about it, because I know I'm going to get to my next land no matter what. Stuff like that, especially if I've got Explosive Vegetation or other ramp spells in my hand, it just works out. I also really just like being able to replay her, because in a mono green deck you're going to make a ton of mana anyway. Plus she's kind of under the radar a little bit, you know, when you pull up and you're playing like Sylvala or any of those other guys, or Omnath, you get targeted, you know, for the most part, because they know what you're doing. But if you're playing something like this, it's a little, like I said, it's a little bit under the radar, because you have all those cards in your deck, but you're just using this as kind of like a, oh, I'm here to be friendly, guys, just go get a land and flip over my guy and make it a planeswalker and do some fun stuff. So highly recommended, especially either way, as the commander or in the deck. I really like this in like green-white strategies, stuff like that, so really powerful card. So with that, that concludes our review of the actual cards. So overall, I would say the product is actually really good for commander. There's quite a few cards in here that can be either A, used as a commander, or B, just used inside the deck for great value. There's about 3 or 4 that are kind of meh, but as we kind of mentioned in the review, those cards can actually be looked at a different light, especially for like 1v1. I think they're really powerful there, especially like, you know, like the Delver or the Kytheon. Those guys actually have a role to play. Overall, I think there's only like 1 card in here that I don't really necessarily like using in any commander strategies, and that's the Chandra. I just don't care for that card. Yeah, I'm sure there are people out there that absolutely adore it, but I just am not for it. But getting back to the main topic here, I would recommend it if you're looking for just a fun include, you know, to bolster some of your commander decks. You also can really just kind of keep some of these for trade. I know that if you're just looking for like 1 or 2 of them, if you can get it at a reasonable price, it's not a bad idea. I wouldn't, you know, necessarily go out and spend $100 on this like some from the vaults have been in the past. I don't think it'll be that expensive this time, thankfully. But, you know, if you can get it from your local game store for like MSRP, I would definitely recommend it for a few cards. Or if you're looking for all of them, if you have like 1,000,000 commander decks like I do. You know, I needed pretty much all these cards in a premium version anyway, because they look awesome, so there's that. So yeah, overall I'd give this, you know, a pretty good rating. And yeah, with that, we will see you on the next cards for Commander, and I hope you guys have really enjoyed this. See ya!